Do you have parasites and you're just wondering, how do I got all these parasites? Where the heck did they all come from? Why do I have all these parasites? Why do I have SIBO? Why do I have Candida? All these things. Well, it could be actually that you are being exposed to mold, and that mold is dysregulating your immune system, which is causing you to have a lack of defense, a lack of IgA production. IgA is necessary for your body to defend itself against these things like parasites and other things that are pathogenic. So what happens with mold in mycotoxin exposure is that it suppresses your IgA production. When your IgA gets dropped down, then you have a lot of issues. It also increases your mast cell activity. So your mast cells start going crazy and they start acting, going left when they should be going right, etc. So it allows the pathogens to start to replicate and cause issues. In addition, people who have these types of problems are typically, when they're mold exposed and they have parasites, they're eating a good amount of meat and the meat is not breaking down, and it's the perfect situation for more and more parasites. Often there are parasite eggs on the meat, but then also the meat itself, when it's not broken down, you got this undigested protein, all these toxins that come off of it, ammonia, all these things that disturb the gut. They change the gut environment, which is favorable then to the parasites. So if you're dealing with parasitic issues and you're dealing with Candida, you're not alone. I was in the same situation. I had rashes all over my chest. I had lost 70 plus pounds. It was unbelievable. My ribs were showing. I was reacting to every food. I couldn't even go to the bathroom on my own for 2 years. I'd use enemas. I mean, I was in that situation. I saw plenty of these worms come out of me. I was diagnosed with Diatomeba fragilis, which is a protozoan parasite. But the common denominator was I was living in a moldy house. My body had shut down because I was living in a house with black mold and had no idea that the black mold was dysregulating my immune response and making me not be able to properly respond to these parasites when I was exposed to them, properly eliminate them in my gut when they were there. And since I had that dysregulated immune response, they just kept replicating and causing problems, and then they started to spread throughout my gut, into my gallbladder, into my liver, the biliary ducts, etc. And then I had to start doing some extreme flushes and protocols to eventually get rid of them and get over it. But the first step to getting over the parasitic issues was actually getting out of the moldy house. If I wasn't getting out of the moldy house, I'd keep reacting to all these protocols and wondering why I wasn't getting better. And that's what was happening. I was trying all these antiparasitics, and guess what? I wasn't getting better. You know why? Because I was still living in the moldy house. So my immune system was dysregulated. And unless my immune system got back to being normal, then it was not going to be possible to withstand these things. There'd just be more and more eggs, more and more reproduction. They would just hide places that my immune system couldn't find. So if you have chronic parasites, chronic Candida, SIBO, etc., you have to look at the root cause. The root cause is always immune system dysregulation. And if you're eating too much meat, too many animal products, eggs, dairy, nuts, seeds, gluten, these things are immune irritants, and they will make the parasites thrive because you will react to these foods, and then they will go ahead and thrive because of it, because your immune system's even further dysregulated. So the first step is eliminating the trigger foods. The next step is really identifying if you have immune dysregulation because of an exposure in your house. And you could do the MyMycoLab test to go ahead and see your antibody levels to mycotoxins. And if that doesn't come back conclusive, then you potentially do a mycotoxin urine test through Vibrant Wellness, see how your overall mycotoxin burden is, and that would be my approach. That'd be my approach, because you got to make sure you cover all the angles. It's always what we're consuming, what we're inhaling, and what we're thinking, some form of stress, that's causing these symptom flares. It's not always parasites, it's not always Candida, it's not always all these other things. These are just secondary infections because our immune system is dysregulated. So you got to figure out why the immune system is dysregulated to truly heal. And that's what I help clients do. I pick apart what they're doing. We go ahead and change certain things. And weekly we meet and go over what we're eating, how we're feeling. Whenever they flare up, we figure out why, and we start to identify why the mast cells are being triggered, what's aggravating them, and we make changes, and eventually the immune system stops flaring, because guess what? We're not doing things that aggravate the mast cells. And then once your body calms down and it gets out of the environment it's triggering it, it's not eating the foods that are triggering it, you're not thinking thoughts that are triggering it, you're not performing behaviors that are triggering it, then guess what? You start to feel much better, because all the symptoms you're dealing with are inflammatory and they're caused by your mast cells, your own immune system. So the target is always the immune system, your mast cells. It's not some parasite or Candida or some fantasy pathogen that you're making up, etc. I've been there. I went down that road for 10 years and chased it, and I went in a giant circle and was worse at the end. And I just completely rejected the concept of mold, and I paid the price until years later I accepted. And then my daughter healed, and it was just a blessing. And now I'm helping people with mold illness, chronic illness, and helping them identify the real triggers to their mast cells. So thanks for watching, everybody. Go to my website, endsickness.org. I get hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos on there teaching you how to heal yourself. Take care.